Good afternoon once again, and welcome to a new week and a new lineup of PCA Live 3 at 3. Today we got a great triple lineup. Well, at least two parts out of the three are great. We got Christian Aurora and Tom Lazuka of C.L.E. And then bringing up to the third place there for me is Scott Pierce from the Premium Cigar Association. Really excited again as we continue to go through these, starts to kind of weave these threads of this story as far as my involvement with the Premium Cigar Association. And so I hope we find it a little bit interesting, but I'll get into kind of my first entree into both this position and kind of behind the scenes of the industry. Was when Christian Aurora and Tom Lazuka on a nice bus ride from the airport all the way out to Casa de Campo in the Dominican Republic. And so that was sort of my entree, and then Alan Rubin was on that bus as well, which we talked about earlier. We're getting into some good conversations about C.L.E., Asylum, and some of the products that they've got, and what the potential outlook is for the rest of 2020. Find out what they've been doing since this pandemic has hit, and kind of what they're doing amidst all of this, and then try to find out some interesting things that you may or may not know about Christian and Tom. And so on that note, I'm going to bring them up. Here is Christian Aurora. How you doing, Christian?
Hey, what's going on, Scott?
And then Tom Lazuka.
Yeah, hey, how you
100% on brand with the shirt. How you doing, Tom?
Good.
Hey, Scott.
Well, because I knew
you just remind me of something.
Listen, I knew Christian would be wearing a T-shirt and not dressed appropriately. So I wanted to make sure. I knew I didn't have to go very big to be dressed better than Christian right now.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
He hasn't been out of elastic in 2 months.
I love elastic. No, listen. I decided to give Raul and our marketing people some social distancing. If I went to the office, I was going to drive those poor guys crazy. Because I've been going nuts here in the office. You know, some things that I want to work on, I just can't do. So I'm basically driving everybody crazy. I'm driving Alexandra crazy, everybody. So
wait, so basically you're doing this for the benefit of everybody, is that you're basically not showering so that you smell so people want to stay away. Is that the whole point?
Yeah, that's it, man. Yeah,
fantastic.
Scrub you if I can. Well, hold on, Mr. Pierce, in the spirit of this whole thing, do you remember when we first met? I mean, you just mentioned you didn't know the name of your employer.
That is entirely false. That's false. It's false. Christian is going to rewrite history here. I did know it.
News, sir.
It is. I'm not saying fake news. It's not that I didn't know it. It's just that I transposed two letters when I was saying it, and Christian he relished the opportunity to correct me, even though he'd known me for all 16 seconds.
Yeah,
but I appreciate that.
I knew it was coming back one day, and here we are.
Yeah, exactly. Store that one away for future use. Yes, I did. I said ICPCR, and you said no. It's IPCPR. You put I'm sorry. I put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable there. So I never said it wrong after that.
No, you changed the name. Call it PCA.
Problem solved.
That's exactly.
That was fun. And not only that, I got basically the TAA approved lighter on that same bus trip, which is that Red Asylum cigar, which is, I should have brought it in. It stays in my car so that if I ever wanted to go ahead and light up, that's the lighter I use in my car. So I still have that. Man. Yeah. And then
we brought another batch in of those lighters, Scott, and it was the exact same lighter, but the casing was a little different. And there was one change in the number. Dude, they took the lighters away. They're going to destroy them. It was a whole thing. We had to ship those lighters off to Germany because it just gets so ridiculous. Because to bring these lighters in, you got to go through this testing. What is it? MPAC. I forget I'm like you and I forget the name. But CPSC. You got to do the Consumer Protection and Service Council.
Yeah.
Basically, they got to get a bunch of fat kids that are like 3 years old, like 36 up to 40 months old. 100 kids have to try to light that lighter. And if 10 of them can light it, it doesn't pass. But I'm telling you, man, they got to have some corn-fed kids lighting these things because it's hard to light. Women normally can't light it, and only like 8 kids can light it. So I would be like with a sample one, like the creepy guy at the baseball parks, and I would see somebody with a little kid. Hey, come here, kid, light this for me, because I wanted to do before I spend $40,000. I want to see these dumb kids just light it, man.
Next episode, Chris Hansen is going to be joining us as we confront Christian Aurora. Christian out there handing out lighters instead of candy. That's a double whammy right there.
Yeah, you went full Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Man.
Couldn't
You
resist.
can
see
look.
that,
You can
man.
tell the lockdown has
Never
lasted
seen
too long when this is going on live stream, right?
Yeah.
That's how
Oh,
much we
boy.
miss getting together. So I got a message. Alan Gold has been phenomenal in watching these and also giving us some good recommendations to help make sure people can find this. And so Alan's watching, but Alan said something, and I want to make sure I get this right, that you and Alan worked together years and years ago, Tom. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. At Calibri.
Calibri, yeah.
He was that's who they sent me to travel with. So my first work experience in the business was a week with Alan Gold.
Fantastic. And lo and behold, here you guys are. I mean, how many years
Yeah.
later now, right?
Alan's a great guy, and he's always been supportive. And I talked to Alan. He texts about customers, and we always kind of go back and forth. So he's been a good friend in the business for many years now.
Yeah, I got to say, Alan, everybody I talk to keeps saying the
Scott?
same thing. What was that?
What's that?
Do you guys talk about Scott, Tom?
No,
I hope not. I'm not that interesting. Why would you talk about me? Of all the topics you could talk about, why pick me?
Just checking.
Yeah, no. I'll say this to Alan, though. Everybody I talk to continues to say the same thing. And so that's good. Alan, you can always tell the measure of a person by what people have to say about you when you're not in the room, right?
Well, see, Alan's selling technique is to talk to you as long as he possibly can until you just buy something so he leaves. So it's
how appropriate was that? Look, this is his comment. As soon as you said that, he said he talked you to death.
Yeah, that's it. That's the whole selling technique. I'm going to talk to you until you just buy something so I leave.
I think that's probably how I convinced my wife to marry me, to be honest with you. She's like, okay, just shut up and all, fine. Yes. I think that's kind of it. It's how it works. I do want to point out real quick, though. I am smoking a very nice gift from Christian, but this is the Wynwood Hills.
Nice.
This is the Mayhem. This is one of my go-tos. I love this cigar, and I smoke this often. It's great. And we will get into the Ogre because I do love that as well. But I want to talk to me about the Wynwood Hills because this came out kind of my first year. We kind of put together you had kind of sponsored the IPCPR that year. We put together some marketing aspects of it. And so that's how I first found out about it. And I was really intrigued. And so when I had the opportunity to try these, I was like, wow, this is really good. And I know it's come out of a passion project for you. He said, I kind of want to learn about it and let people know that may not know about it, kind of the story behind Wynwood Hills and what it's all about and the various blends you have within this product line.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. The Wynwood Hills was an idea. I spent a lot of time now thinking a lot about things in the past that really meant something to me. And I remember when I was about 4 or 5 years old, my father was building the U.S. tobacco factory in Downley, which now is part of STG and General Cigar. They were building that factory, and we were working with projects. And I was talking with Tom. I want to do something different, and we're growing at such a pace that we really do need to expand our lines a little more. And plus, we want to have a little more fun because we don't want to be boxed into a certain thing. And I want to try working with different factories because not many people do that in our business. So I went over to these guys and had them work this project for us. And we wanted to do 3 different blends. They made 2 out of the 3 blends. But then the other issue was the name. And this was originally going to be called Waverly Place. Waverly Hills, right, Tom?
Yeah,
Waverly
Waverly.
Hills. Yeah. Listen, it was what was it, crematorium or something, right?
Well, it was an old insane asylum in Kentucky.
Yeah. So we had the initials and so we had W, the H, and the C. We had the logo, and the what you see in the band is one of the windows from that asylum. And then when I started looking at it more and more, then I realized that somebody owned that trademark. These guys ended up buying that asylum and turned it into like a museum or something, like a spooky hotel. And I couldn't get away with it. But at that point, everything was so far in. So we had the name Wynwood from the different project that we had that factory. So we just changed the name to Wynwood. And that's how the project was born. We launched those cigars a couple years ago, and it really was a great launching. And then we added the 60 by 6 size because we've only had the 50 by 5 and 50 by 4.5.
Yeah.
And now we added the 60 by 6 in that project, and we'll probably keep expanding it now. I want to box press some of them. We're just taking our time with it, and we feel the rhythm. There's one thing that Tom and I like doing, and we have a good knack for it. We kind of feel, the wave, and we ride the rhythm of the brand. And the brand tells us whether it's time to add something new or leave it alone for a while. But the Wynwood Hills has been one of those surprising brands for us, which it's kind of been living on its own. And it's real hard for us, even our salespeople, to understand or to classify it, because it's not a C.L.E., it's not a Asylum, it's not an 80, it's kind of something else. It's its own being.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you agree with me, Tom.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Just real quick, I don't know if everybody else is hearing this. I'm hearing tapping, so I don't know if anybody's typing or has somebody else that's doing something in the background there, but I'm hearing some background noise just as a heads up. I don't know if anybody else is hearing it or not.
It's those Chinese drones, man.
We have them all around the office. I'm not really sure where it's coming from. It could just be me, so hopefully it is just me that's hearing it. It could be inside the head. Now,
I feel a scratch too, Scott.
Okay. So you mentioned this 6x16 going bigger ring gauges, and that is something that you guys have been known for. And we've talked about this, and Asylum is really known for these big ring gauges. And I love telling this story. So we had a holiday event last year, and it was a year. It was more than a year ago. And we had a lot of young Hill staffers that were here, and we had obviously a lot of different cigars that we have in the humidor from all of our members. And he saw the 7x7, the Asylum. And this young kid out of Congressman Green's, I think, from Texas, he goes in, he grabs this thing, and I mean, his eyes lit up. I mean, this was Christmas for him. So he lit it up and everything else. And I walk over, and 45 minutes later, he's sitting on one of our chairs, and that thing is down way more than halfway through. And I was like, man, you've got to slow down. And he's like, no, I love this stuff. He's like, I love this stuff. And he was done with that thing before I was done with just like a regular cigar. And I was like, are you going to turn green here in a minute? What's going on? And he was like immediately up, and he like loved that thing. So I think it was hilarious. That kid was just made to smoke cigars. But I just kind of want to talk to you guys kind of about the philosophy about going behind the big ring gauges. I know you said, look, there was an opportunity in the market that really wasn't there, and you've seen a lot of response from it. But I just kind of wanted to follow up on that a little bit more to talk about that market for big ring gauges and kind of where you see that going, and do you continue to plan on releasing the different various product lines in the bigger ring gauges?
Scott, I really wish the answer were that academic and that smart, but it really wasn't. It was, we finished the C.L.E. blends fairly quickly, and we're in Nicaragua. And I remember Tom that trip, he was still with his previous company, he was still with Davidoff when we're finishing up these blends. And so Tom, he was in on it, but so I'm calling him on the phone, and the connection isn't so good because it's Wi-Fi stuff is just starting, like this whole WhatsApp stuff. I said, Tom, this is the blend. Christian, there's a cigar I see all the time. It's a 70x7. And I couldn't understand. He said, what? And because it would get chopped, he goes 70x7. I go, no, Tom, that's stupid. So I remember it turned into, not a real argument, but we were disagreeing. And I said, Tom, fine, I'm going to make 5,000 of them, and you're going to eat them. So every time I hear something say good about the 70x7, I get so pissed off because it wasn't my idea, and I was dead set against it. But we did it anyway. So, like I said, I wish I could sit here and tell you, no, we did the market cut. But no, man, it was done pretty much. Tom wanted to prove me wrong, and I wanted him to be proven wrong also.
So I got to say, this is being recorded, and we're going to have this for posterity, that we have Christian Aurora on the broadcast admitting it. Tom, I did mute you when the clicking went away, so I found out that you are, in fact, the culprit. So if anybody's I don't want people to blame me for the technical difficulties this time.
Yeah, but I'm not quite sure why it's so staticky like that. I had it sitting on something. Let me readjust and see if I can get it somewhere else.
When you talk, it goes away. Maybe Tom talk the whole time.
Yeah, it's weird.
Tom, you need to take a page out of Alan Gold's playbook and just talk.
I should just type it in.
Wes Thornton is correct. Tom is the guilty clicker. Well, I want to follow up on this. Valerie Bradshaw just had a good comment here where she attended your master class at the Rocky Mountain Cigar Fest in 2019. What was that master class all about?
Wait, say that again?
So Valerie Bradshaw said she attended your master class at the Rocky Mountain Cigar Fest in 2019. I just want to know kind of what you said. You taught her a lot, so I'd love to kind of hear what that master class was all about.
We were actually just talking a lot about the blends themselves, and we talked a lot about the Bayer crop science and the things that we do in Honduras that are a little different than some of the other companies. And then people were just really, they each got 4 different cigars. So, we kind of went through the blends and the aging process of each of the cigars that were in the pack that they got for that. And then it was just a question and answer, and it was a pretty good. It was a solid hour of just people asking questions about, where the cigars come from and how we ferment the tobacco and how long we do it, and just some of the Bayer the crop science processes that we do, and so it was a nice informational thing. They had sold out the event, and so it was nice.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I always like that, and I think that that's one of the things that for us, I continue to see myself more on the consumer realm of things. And how do we obviously connect more? I'm going to kind of unmute as we go along here to make sure we can get this all set. If you don't mind.
Yeah, I'm not sure why.
When you talk, it goes away. It's kind of interesting. So never had this happen before. We're nothing if not flexible.
Listen, you know why? Because he's probably got like an iPhone version 3, and I think we're iPhone version 11. And the iPhone doesn't understand what's happening right now.
So I think what Christian just said, Tom, is that he's going to give you a raise so that you can get a new iPhone. I did want to ask, obviously, we continue to have, I think, probably a little bit of coronavirus fatigue in a lot of different ways, but it obviously is hitting a lot of us in different ways. I want to talk to you about how it's impacted you as a company, but also, you've got your facility down in Honduras. Kind of wanted to talk to you what's going on there, and then we'll follow up with some of the things that C.L.E. has been doing amidst all of this to kind of move things forward and do different things. But how is everything down in Honduras, and what is sort of the C.L.E. outlook going right now?
Hey, Scott, thank you for asking. Look, as far as the factors, we have production in Nicaragua, and Naxa makes production for us. They were shut down for, I think, 14 days or 21 days. They started working last week. They took some measures. We've always had the special tunnel where people get disinfected, and we gave them some tips and some cleanliness and hygiene, which they've been implemented for the last 7-8 years. And as far as our factory in Honduras, we actually opened up today. We retrofitted our entire operation in Honduras. We were closed for 6 weeks. I know some other people opened a lot, or maybe a week earlier in Honduras, but we wanted to be ready, Scott. We didn't feel ready. At the end of the day, you have to protect the employees. I think that I think it would be tremendously irresponsible on our part to rush production just because we want to rush production.
Right.
It was expensive. Look, we didn't get rid of one single person, neither in Honduras or in the U.S. We paid all salaries the whole time, but we retrofitted the factory, so we still have this tunnel. We expanded our clinic. We got the doctor. We got the nurse. We measure all the temperatures. There are about, I think, every hour or 2 hours, the workers have to go and get their hands clean. But whenever there's a rough surface, either where you hand out the raw materials for work, or the tobacco press, or the cigar molds, or the chaveta, there's a cleaning station everywhere. So people have to always constantly be washing their hands and cleaning their hands, because we want to protect every other person in the operation. It is not so much that the cigars are at risk, because by the time the cigars get here to the United States, they've been in transit already for probably 9 or 10 days.
Yeah.
So that's not the risk. Yeah, and what we're learning from this is that the longest that it lives, it would be on metal for 5 days.
Yeah.
So the cigars themselves are safe. And as far as the operation here, we weren't that badly impacted, but our customers have been badly impacted. Our customer base has been brick and mortar. I think when we do our numbers year after year, it's we're different from many other companies. I think it's about 89 to 90% of our total business is brick and mortar. We're not a big catalog type company. We don't seek those out. We don't do aggressive specials. Matter of fact, we don't do any specials at all. So our customers have been hurt. Now our entire model for introducing new product has also been hurt.
Yeah.
So now we have to figure out how we can introduce new products. We have the Asylum 8 celebrating 8 years that I'm supposed to, and I haven't even finished it yet. We have the new C.L.E. The Graduate, named after my son. He's a 2020. He's graduating this year from high school, and that product wasn't finalized either. And I have to go down there to Honduras to get it finalized.
Sounds completely.
And now it even gets harder because we get hit twice, because now it's the dry season in Honduras when they start doing all the forest fires. So we can't even travel to Honduras now either, because you can't see the runway, so it's all blocked off. So but as far as the coronavirus, the model has changed. We're trying to figure out how to make it work, and I really wish there was something more that we could do for our retailers, Scott. But look, we've been affected just like everybody else, and we're not, we're not Amazon, we're not Walmart, we're not these very large companies with unlimited funds to help that many people.
Right.
We too have to watch what's going on and watch our pennies.
Yeah, well, that's good. So in terms of that, I know you guys have been doing a lot of different events. You guys have been doing a lot of them online. What are some of the ways you've stayed connected to retailers at this time? And if retailers wanted to connect with you, how could they do that?
Yeah, listen, we talk to a lot of our salespeople, and we talk to all of our salespeople fairly constantly. And one thing that they do is just be in touch with our customers. As an entrepreneur, somebody that has a business, you fully understand the fears, the worries. Everybody's scared. Everybody's nervous.
There's no audio.
We can hear you though, Tom.
We can hear you, Tom.
Can you hear us?
I can't hear anything.
We can hear you.
Just do the sign language, Tom.
Hey, Tom, I'll drop you out of the broadcast real quick. If you want to just, there we go. And then come back in, and then hopefully that'll be fixed.
So we've been, so our salespeople have been contacting the retailers, and we've been doing a lot of Zooms. We're doing, I think, three Zooms a week, and independently. That's just internally, and then we invite people to join us, which you're welcome to join us too, man. It's on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And also, we do customers also organize their Zooms, so we've been doing a lot of them, a lot of international Zooms also. Zooms, Instagrams, whatever you want to call them. We've done a bunch of different ones, and it's a different way of connecting, Scott. But in no way does it even come close to being face to face with our customers and with other people enjoying a cigar, because we miss that part of the whole experience. Yeah,
100%. And I'm going to go ahead and now unmute. Look at that. We are free from clicks. Tom, can you hear us?
There you go, Tom. Thank you.
Can you hear us, Tom?
Sorry, the sound keeps cutting in and out now. So I had to go out and come back in. So I don't even know. I can't hear you guys.
You still can't hear us?
Oh man,
Tom still can't hear us.
Listen, Tom's up in Michigan, so I'm thinking the governor doesn't let the Wi-Fi people go out and work either. I think everybody
I had a great question too, and since you can't hear us, I'm going to ask it.
Like I can hear Christian, I can't hear Scott.
Oh, perfect.
Ask me and I'll relay it.
Well, I was going to ask him that, if they cancel the NFL,
you got to relay what Scott's saying.
Yeah, so if they cancel the NFL season, will the Detroit Lions fans really even notice?
All right, if they cancel the NFL season, will the Lions even notice?
It would just be another year without making the playoffs.
No, I heard some really good news today, and I was very, very happy to hear it. Carnival Cruise Lines is going to start working again August 1st. Now, obviously, we're not affected by the cruise industry one bit, but what I did like about it, Scott, is that there's a tremendous amount of excitement, and people are roaring, man. They want to get out. They want to get out already. And the fact that these cruise ships are out there and it gives the impression of normalcy in our environment that we badly need. And our customers badly need that, Scott. Our customers need, we need guys to go out and walk around and smoke cigars. If you can't be inside the lounge, that's great. We understand it. And matter of fact, I don't think anybody wants anybody in their lounge now, but just the sense of normalcy, sense of schedule. If you used to visit the shop at 5 o'clock every day, then go visit it. You just hang out outside or something.
Yeah, exactly. And we talked about that. And I'm in the office, or, we don't have a, pretty limited staff to begin with. But, we're obviously being very cognizant and making sure that we're, if we do, only a few people in the office at a time. But Josh had been at home visiting his parents, and they had to go through a quarantine process because it was like a coworker of his dad's or somebody's that went on a cruise in the midst of all this and came back. And so they had to quarantine because they had it and they got in and everything was fine. And so now he's back. But he and I had to sit down when we were in person yesterday, and the amount of, work we were able to get done face to face, there's just no substitute for it. And we've talked about this a lot about, and we touched upon this last week when we were talking with Pete and with Phil, is that this is a commodity, but it's not. That's not what you're selling, right? That's not what this is all about, because you're literally buying something to light it on fire, but it's what it fully represents, right? And you, I think, just hit upon it. I think that's what really is the foundation, underscores the entire industry, which is it's interaction, it's connection, and it's, for lack of a better term, meditation, right? You've seen guys like Steve Harvey talk about a cigars yoga and things like that. So there's all these kinds of things that I truly think that people are really missing. I can sit outside of my front, porch and have a cigar, and that's great. But I am absolutely 100% missing the times when I can sit in with my friends and my buddies and others, and especially the industry folks. And so in that context, I think that the virtual stuff has been great, but I've gotten the sense from everybody I've talked to, they are absolutely chomping at the bit to go. And I've actually been in places where they do have limited amounts of seats available for lounges, and they're full. I mean, people want to get in and they want to smoke. So I kind of want your perspective on this, because I've got my own. But as we start to reopen, when we start going in through the summer months, et cetera, and I'm just going to say hypothetically, let's just say it's the same across the ubiquitous all 50 states, and obviously for our neighbors to the north, like Valerie, even in Canada, that they're able to go back in and start having cigars. How do you feel the response to the brick and mortars is going to be at that time? Do you believe it's going to be something like a slow trickle? Is it going to be kind of an explosion? Are people going to kind of come back and welcome it? Or is it going to be sort of kind of maybe in between? What do you think?
No, I think it'll be a slow trickle, mainly because the stores themselves are not going to have the amount of inventory that they would like to have.
Sure.
Because, you see a retail store, no matter how good or how solid they are, they don't do that much in business. They're not very big businesses. So for these guys to have a 2-month or 3-month dry spell, it's really hard for these guys. So you're not going to have the tremendous amount of volume that you have at first. And it's completely understandable that people are not going to want to hang out and be at a shop with 10 or 15 other guys all the time. So I think it'll be a slow trickle, Scott. But once you begin to reform the habits once again, and I think it becomes, we keep the stores. And I do want to say, and I'll embarrass you a little bit, but I don't want to give any details, but I like what you guys have been doing with the PCA as far as the outreach for the government now, and the fact that you've been representing your members really, really well. And hopefully there is some relief for these guys coming up soon, because they are a small industry. We're highly unprotected. And as taxes start coming back up in different states, it's going to be an issue. I think I was speaking with a lobbyist from a different association the other day, that there's a very good chance that a lot of states come back into session the third quarter or fourth quarter of the year.
Which they normally
don't. Something that's not unprecedented, but it's something that they've done before.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a 100%. We've talked about that, and we want to have and ensure that we have plans in place to be proactive when that happens. The last thing that we want to do, or that we can afford to do, is to sit back, have them come back in session, and then have us scrambling. So we're going to be proactive. We're already putting sort of a policy strategy together so that we can actually go forward in order to try to mitigate that as much as humanly possible. It would be great to get caps and eradicate all of that. But I mean, look, we had a governor in Virginia in the midst of all of this. The Congress and the House and everything else, they defeated all 5 measures that would have done it. His budget comes around, he increased taxes on tobacco. He increased the gas tax. I mean, the guy just doesn't care. That's, one of the problems of only having a one-term governor is that they don't care about getting reelected. That's good on one hand. On the other hand, it's like I can do whatever I want, right? And so that is something that we firmly believe that is going to be a playbook that a lot of other states follow. I mean, you can just look at the news, right? And there are budget deficits and pensions to fund and everything else. So where are they going to try to find that money? And unfortunately, we have the biggest bullseye on this. And so we are right now putting things in place that we can be proactive and fight against this as much as possible. So look for things from us and action alerts. And in fact, you can see over my glaringly bald head right there, cigaraction.org is where we're going to be going and utilizing that tool as much as possible. So any retailers or anybody, get customers and consumers signed up there so that we can unleash, holy hell on our legislators when this happens. Let's bring Tom back in, and we got the sound now. We got no.
The thing also, Scott, is capitalism and entrepreneurship. They have a way, like water down the stream. They have a way of finding a way to do it. I guess stores, what they started doing when they couldn't stay open, they went and went to Costco and they bought a bunch of toilet paper and a bunch of paper towels and a bunch of aspirin. Then they just started saying they were essential businesses, so they could keep the curbside open. Other guys began to realize that a lot of their customers didn't know what cigars they were buying. They're so used to walking in, they make a left, they look at the third box on the right, and that's the one. So what a lot of guys started doing, they started taking pictures of their shelves and then had a catalog. So the customer would come out, so almost like, I don't know if you've ever been to Japan or China. You go to a restaurant, they have pictures of the food.
Yeah.
That's what these guys are doing.
Yeah.
That's what these guys had, a picture of the shelf, and the guy would point out the cigar that he wanted, and then you walk in and get the cigars.
Yeah.
So they were extremely creative.
Yeah, exactly. And I talked to a lot of retailers that have, it's been really interesting. It kind of goes back to when I was growing up, and it was always you dial on the phone and call and you talk to people, right? They've been doing that same thing. There's been a lot of phone calls, and they would actually walk through the humidor, whether it's on a phone call or utilizing the technology and doing FaceTime and showing them what's in the humidor and talking them through that. And so still getting as much human interaction as possible, while obviously still being responsible. So it has been, and that's, you kind of led into the other question, is to say, what have you seen from some retailers that has been good? We're going to go over that on Thursday with a really good event that I kind of want this to be much more of almost like a virtual town hall, with a few of our guys to kind of lead the conversation in terms of some best practices for utilizing your website to increase your store sales. But I really would like to be able to get a lot of people on Facebook commenting of what everybody sees and just kind of let the community come together and offer some good ideas and examples. But I don't know if there's anything else that you or Tom, I think we can hear you now at this point. We just can't see your beautiful face there, but
that might be better.
But I don't know if either one of you guys, are there other examples of other things that you've seen or that you've done that you think has been particularly successful, or sort of they kind of spark some ingenuity that others might be able to implement?
No. You know what I do love? If there's one good thing, one single good thing that's come out of this, is the fact that hand selling cigars came back, which I love. What do I mean? Hey, Scott, how are you? Listen, what are you smoking? Let me walk you to, because some stores are able to stay open. They kind of walk the guy to it. It's no longer that, because I walked into so many stores, and I know how it happens. You get used to it, right? And Scott walks in. Hey, Scott, yeah, man, I'll meet you go ahead and grab whatever you want, and I'll meet you at the register. And the store owners and the managers, they lost that little touch. Look, cigars are such a beautiful, romantic thing. And by the way, and I love these two other guys. I respect them. I disagree with the term commodity. I really do think it's a work of art, because a lot of people were involved. It takes a long time to make the product. And it's such a beautiful thing to just not treat it like something beautiful. If you go to a jewelry store, you're going to buy a Rolex. The lady just doesn't put it on the things. They bring out the little pad. She puts on the gloves, and she really presents the product to you in a way that you'd enjoy it. And the guy I've always complimented with that has been her clutch. Her clutch, and that experience with Nat Sherman in New York. I tell people all the time, I go, dude, just buy your ticket to New York. It's $200. Spend the day, come back. It's the best $200 you'll ever spend, because that is the single best experience I've had walking in, because the kid follows you, he recommends everything, and you never feel uncomfortable with the guy next to you.
Yeah.
So I do think that's the best thing that's come out of it, Scott, which has been the hand selling. That's it. I love it. I love seeing that.
Yeah, I agree. And I want to clarify, I don't mean that it is a commodity. I'm saying if you were to look at it as a commodity, that's not what it really is. It's
I got it.
You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, a product's a product, but it's not like you're going to the grocery store and buying, cleaner, or you're buying eggs or whatever the case may be, right? To your point, there's so much more that goes into it. And it goes back actually to Valerie's comment about the masterclass and why people want that kind of information, why they want that kind of connection with you, because they're not consuming the product. They're experiencing and doing it in a much greater fashion than they are other things, other quote unquote commodities. So I don't know, Tom, did you have any things that you've seen from around the country? Even though we can't see you, I think we can hear you at this point. Anything that you've seen, other retailers or other kind of things people are doing right now that are helping them and keep business coming in, even though it might be diminished?
Yeah, I mean, you look around, obviously in the Detroit area, it's, what do you call it, curbside pickup only. And so, a lot of the places here have food also, so they can stay open with the food. And I know there was an issue where the state said, well, if you have a tobacco license, you couldn't be open. So they closed them, and then they came back and said, okay, you have food, you can be open. So, every store is a little different. And, like Christian was saying, some of these retailers have been telling us that, guys, they just know the one with the red band or whatever. They're so trained to walk into the humidor that they don't even know what they're smoking. They just go to the same spot, and they're so trained to that. So maybe this will help them see some other things in the future. And, you know, some of the guys, I think, are starting to take photos of their shelves. And then when they go out to the car with their iPad, they can show them, you know, what's on the shelf, so they can go, yeah, that's the one there, right? So they're not making 3 or 4 trips back and forth in and out of the store to get them the cigars that they want. You know.
Brent Simpson just commented and said normal B&Ms can be open in Michigan, Tom. So I don't know if I don't know what normal B&Ms mean, just normal brick and mortar tobacconists, if they can be open now, or if normal B&Ms just means like normal retailers. But that's that's great.
To my knowledge, it's still curbside, but maybe they should, you know, something changed last Saturday, but a lot of the things are still in place. They opened up like golf. You can golf now. You can go out on your boat now. But I don't know if it's changed where they, you know, I don't believe the lounges can be open or anything like that. So I'm not sure what he means by that.
He said cigar shops. So yeah, probably it's open, but limited in not being able to go into the places. I mean, who knows? Maybe the storming of a state capitol is yeah, okay, curbside.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, look, you know, it's a really interesting and it's diverse in terms of its impact, right? Obviously, New York is incredibly different than Wyoming, and so obviously everything's going to have to kind of be measured as it goes. It's not going to be a ubiquitous open, like I said earlier, unfortunately. So I want to go back now that we can at least hear Tom. I want to talk a little bit about last year. I was fortunate enough to be given from you a Lancero of the Ogre from TAA. And I want to explain this a little bit for folks. So I was out with some friends, and then this was a while ago, obviously. It was last year's TAA. So it must have been like last, probably, I don't know, maybe fall of 2019. And I was with some friends. We went out and we ended up at a bar where they have an outdoor patio where we could smoke cigars. And so that's the one that I had with me, and I pulled it out and I lit it up and was smoking and everything. And as we want to do, you start talking to everybody there, and there were, you know, probably about 15 people or so. And so, you know, just talking to folks and striking up conversations about what they're smoking. And so thus ensued, and the Sarah started looking like, wow, that's interesting. Obviously, because it's got the difference. And I'll let you explain it. Since you did not send me my box of Lanceros that I requested, I don't have anything for show and tell right now. But it was such a surprising smoke to me in terms of the flavor and everything. It was really just a really nice experience. I was drinking some good bourbon that night too. So explain what the Ogre is, because I've continued to talk about this because it was such an interesting and unique experience for me. I've talked a lot about it, and so it's not a very easy cigar to find. But talk a little bit about that. And I should have worn my Ogre T-shirt today, but it was dirty, so I wasn't able to wear it. But I wanted to look more dressed up than Christian too.
Yeah, it wasn't hard. It wasn't hard. I mean, I'm sure he's wearing sweatpants too, so we won't have him get up. But no, the Ogre, you know, it's another one of those projects. What's funny about this company is how Asylum happened very quickly, like how the steps and how he decided to go to Nicaragua, or, you know, use 13 in the name, or, you know, all these steps kind of happened very randomly. And the Ogre was really a cigar that I had kind of messed around with a friend of mine at his house. Because he had some tobacco and he rolls cigars. His name's Darren Hildebrand out of Ohio. And Darren's been a great friend and customer for many years. And we were messing with it. And Coach Ron English, who was a coach at University of Michigan football, and he's been at Eastern Michigan, and now he's at Florida, University of Florida. When he was at Eastern Michigan, he would do a golf outing, and we would make him some cigars for that golf outing. So he said, Tom, when we started this company, he said, you know, Tom, I want you to make me something. And I said, okay, you know, their colors were green and black. So we did the Ogre for it. I called Christian and said, hey, let's do, can we make like 10 boxes of these in 770s? And he's like, no, we were sitting at an event. I think we're at Tony Bellato's store in
Ohio.
In Youngstown, Ohio. And we said, okay, let's call it the Shrek, you know, and we're like, well, maybe that'll get us in trouble, but we could probably use Ogre. So, you know, it was originally just going to be a cigar that we were going to do for for Ron and to promote the football program at Eastern Michigan, and then it turned into a whole brand. Like you said, a couple of bourbons in one evening, and all of a sudden we have a whole new brand and a whole new line. And so we launched the cigar, and it did very, very well for us. And
Yeah.
We like to use it. It's that Nicaraguan. It's a dark Habano wrapper with the Candela barber pole on it, and it just becomes, they both kind of cancel each other out. That grassiness of the Candela and that spicy richness of the Maduro both kind of counterbalance each other, and it becomes a nice, very medium body cigar with a unique flavor. And it's been fantastic for us. And I'll work on getting you that box of Lanceros for you, Scott.
Oh, you guys heard it here. So by
the way, Scott, it is you, Lazuka, and Pete Johnson, the only people in North America that like Lanceros. Nobody else likes that cigar. Nobody.
Are you serious?
Nobody buys it.
Not true.
Okay,
everybody on Facebook right now or YouTube, comment and let us know if you like Lanceros, because I would like to disagree with you on that one. So did you have a specific flavor profile in mind though, Tom, when you guys were doing this, or was it just something that you had in there, you were kind of blending, and you landed on something that you really liked?
No, it was kind of funny because again, I was at one of my customers' homes, and Darren does a lot of his own rolling and gets a lot of tobacco shipped in from Nicaragua and things. So we actually just made some at his house one night, and it had a really good flavor. So when me and when we talked about doing it for Ron and it was kind of together. I mean, obviously we blended it with our own tobaccos from Nicaragua, but it was pretty simple process after that. I mean, it came together very, very quickly again. And so, there wasn't a specific flavor. It was just a very unique, the way the two wrappers kind of balance each other out. So you're not getting too much grassiness or not too much spice. It really turned it into a beautiful medium body cigar.
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the best ways. I kind of described it when I was there. And again, I don't even pretend to be a sophisticated palate. And there's a lot of people that are much better at that than I. But for me, the way I described it was very balanced and kind of almost I don't want to say chocolatey, but it was had a kind of an undertones of a creaminess to it too, that I thought was just really nice. And that could have just been the bourbon going with it too, or whatever, but very well balanced and a nice, really creamy finish for me was kind of the experience and how it hit my palate. And so that's why I love with it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was good. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about a couple of other things too, more sort of on the sort of getting to know you. So see, I'm getting a lot of okay. Look, hold on. Lanceros are just for February from our good friend Ed Ryan, and then Lucas tells us that Lanceros are the best. So we're not the only ones in North America, Christian.
Hey, those are both our sales reps, Scott.
Yeah.
They work for us.
Well, if they're your sales rep and they're telling the boss that Lanceros are good, then I think that means something. And it's not just Christian. Good for you. You didn't just hire yes men.
Yeah,
that's right. The problem is they didn't sell them, Scott.
They clearly did not.
Listen, I hate that cigar so much that I didn't even want to make a special box for it. And the math worked out fairly easy because in the 70x7 box, I could fit 100 of them, right? So we just put 99 cigars in the box, and then we called it 99 Problems. So that's the name of the cigar in our company.
Yeah.
That was Asylum 30x7s.
That was the original Lancero we did in the Asylum 13 Nicaragua, and then the second one we made was the Ogre. But we did that in the 30 count box, a little more simple.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Nice. So, Christian, obviously, I think most people know that people use the term Navy brat or Army brat. You're a cigar brat, right? You grew up in the industry.
Yeah, I grew up in the business. Yeah,
you did, and so it's in your blood. And how did your partnership form with Tom for C.L.E? Because obviously you Camacho and that whole thing, you transitioned 2012, and like I said, in Asylum kind of came off, and you guys have been taking off ever since. Really good trajectory. But how did this partnership between the two of you form?
Yeah, so we sold Camacho in 2008. So we started talking to Davidoff probably in late 2006. So around that time, I said, we might sell this company. And at 35, 36, I don't know if I'm going to stay with the company. I don't know what they're going to do. So let me start seeing who here has something special and that could be in the business, right? Because if I ever do this again, I want to have the right people. So we did this one experiment and had 3 different groups. Had my salespeople form 3 different groups and all develop a cigar brand. Which, by the way, back then, I'm not taking anything away from Tom's team what they did, but back in 2005, 2006, the industry was very different. Brands had an 18-month lifespan. It was a pipeline type industry. You just come out with a product and it would sell. So you never would lose money. You can come out with 10,000 cigars of anything, you're gonna sell. And so we did the test, and then of course, Tom Lazuka took the path of least resistance, came out with a real cheap, short filler cigar. He called it the Outdoorsman, and of course, he crushed everybody else. But I said, this guy has something. He really understands the business. He understands numbers. So when we sold the business and I started over again, I called Tom. So imagine if you're Tom Lazuka, you got a secure job. You're getting paid X, which is fairly comfortable with a great company, Davidoff, real nice people. All of a sudden now he's being invited to work on a startup for less money, without any guarantees that the business is going to do well.
Yeah, how smart am I, right?
Tom, come make less money and risk everything you got with me.
I love how he framed that, though. But I want everybody to pay attention to this. He framed it at how smart Tom Lazuka was, and then said, and made the decision to come to my startup.
Yeah. How dumb was I, right?
No, he framed it very well. You're brilliant, and that's what led you to make the decision to go work with him.
Yeah, it's brilliance, right? That was it. It was my ability to see the future.
Crazy.
No, you know what it is, Scott? There's something in business that I learned from Carlos Pelas, and it's called alignment. Alignment is when every single person in the company understands what you stand for. So anywhere from the person growing the tobacco to the roller, the guy who makes the box, to every salesperson, Tom and me. It's funny because we could be in separate places and be faced with a situation, and our answers are almost identical almost every time. And Tom and I always had that kind of alignment, except for Lancero. But still, listen.
In 70s.
That's a great point.
But that's part of the alignment, though, right? Yeah. Tom knows what my reaction is going to be. He knows what the risk and how, but he knows I'm willing to risk whatever, which is, to me, it's fun because what hurts Tom the most and what I love the most is having I told you so's. So the more I told you so's I get, it's more enjoyable. And Tom really, really hates that, man. So I know that he understands that that's the risk that he's exposed to.
Fair enough. So I can't just go out on a whim, you know what I mean? I got to be pretty sure it's going to work, else I'm going to get an I told you so for the rest of my life,
And then I told you so from Christian is pretty painful. I mean, that's, yeah.
Well, because it never goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah, they never go away.
Listen, we did this one thing with shirts. I won't get into details. I said, Tom, it's not going to work. Oh, yes, it's going to work. I bet it's going to work. Oh, my, I pounded that in his head almost every 6 or 7 months. Like every time Tom will come with me an idea, I go, Tom, I don't like it. Remember the shirts? He goes, okay, fine. I'm not sure enough. I'm like, okay, forget it. We're not going to do it.
Tom, do I need to have a Disney moment with you about just believing in yourself?
Oh, listen, I still go for it, man. It's not like I don't try, but the shirts, man, I was so pissed at our salespeople for the shirts. How can you not give shirts away? Like, it was just, I don't even know how to explain that one, but that was one of the few things that did not work out properly. But for the most part, I think I'm winning the I told you so game. So
okay.
I still have the 770s over Christian, and he can never take that one away. So I've got the biggest for the longest time.
That really hurts, man.
Yeah, that one's more important. Then I'm going to tell. Well, then here's a lesson I will pass on. I am a horrible musician, but I took piano for several years, and my piano teacher used to say to me, "If you're going to count the wrong notes, you got to count the right notes." And I always played more right notes than I played wrong notes, and that's what you got to pay attention to.
Listen, man, 70 by 7 will probably. It was, look, to come into, just like with Camacho, the success behind Camacho was the fact that back then in the 1990s, all cigars were mild, were Connecticut, were Dominican. Camacho came in and just kicked the door in and completely changed the flavor profile. Matter of fact, the Camacho Corojo was so successful that Cuba themselves started using the Corojo name, and only because the United Patent and Trademark Office did not allow me to re-register that trademark. That's
Really?
how powerful that name was, and that's how the entire industry started coming out with these Havana seeds that were darker and stronger cigars. Camacho really is the one that started that trend, and it was us. I was a 26, 27-year-old kid, not knowing what I was doing. It was just this one hunch. Same thing with the large ring gauges. When Tom came with that idea and we came out with a 70x7, it really did allow us to come in, kick the door wide open once again. It was Instagram. People wanted to get these crazy pictures and they just wanted to be outrageous. Maybe it was the right price, right time, right box, right package. Back then it was $7 US. It's just a retail price, 2.5, 3 hours to smoke that cigar. But really what made it was when our competitors started copying what we were doing. I remember we were at dinner and XYZ company came out with that product. Tom was so upset because he was really, really close to him. And I just started laughing because Tom just goes crazy, man, when he gets really angry. I go, Tom, they just proved to you that they're your best friends. He goes, how do you mean? Bro, because the 70x7 was supposed to be an 8-month cigar, and these people just solidified it. All of a sudden, the 70x7 is here to stay. So quickly, let's do the 80x8, 80x6, and then we did the 80x8 just to bookend the whole thing. And then we owned the whole large cigar market, but it was because of competitors that we were able to make that cigar. So it made it stay. So, things happen in the marketplace that just, you got to be able to understand them and benefit from them.
That's an excellent point. I think that's one of the things to where Phil made a comment last Thursday, talking about how it's harder to find a bad cigar these days than not. And I think that's one of the really great things, again, as a consumer, is that so many great cigars are being made right now. And I think that's kind of to your point, is that one of the things that's propelling that forward is what you just talked about right there, is people finding and continuing to compete and to find new and interesting ways of coming up with good blends, good cigars. And look, people want cigars for all occasions. And there are times when I do want to be able to sit down for 3 hours, whether it's in a social situation or whether I'm, by myself or whatever the case may be, or there's times when I just want, a quick 10, 15 minutes. So I'm getting, the smaller ones. And so, there's a reason for it, right? And you guys recognize that, and I thought that was really interesting. There's just a question that's kind of come to my mind lately is, you talk about how brands used to come out, they'd be around for 18 months and then they're gone. But now obviously you have SKUs that stick around, and then you continue to iterate on those year in and year out. Is there a particular cigar from, a few years ago that might have come out, either was a big success or not, but maybe isn't getting as much attention to, that you still really enjoy, that you think people ought to give a second look at right now?
Ooh, yeah, man. Dude, my favorite cigar still, and I'm still chasing it, is the Diploma. The first Diploma we did 2001, 2002. I think we launched in 2000. It was the way the tobacco was growing at the time, and the way I was curing tobacco, which is different than now. Now we cure the tobacco just the same, but now we let it sit for 4 or 5 years. Back then, I was pulling the tobacco right out of the bulk, right out of fermentation. So I'm continuously trying to chase that, and we just haven't had enough tobacco to do it with. And I think for 2021, I will have it. Right now, I've come really, really, really close with an Eidoa Dark, but not quite there yet. And I don't know, Tom, what do you think? What's your favorite cigar from the past?
I think if we're talking about something within the Asylum and C.L.E. realm over the last 8 years, I think one of the cigars, the first, we came out with 3 cigars in the Asylum line in the beginning, and one was the Asylum Premium. And the cigar did gangbusters, and then somehow, again, the Asylum 13 just kind of overtook the big ring gauges and everything. But I think that's just a fantastic cigar. We still sell them. They don't sell like they used to, but if you haven't tried the Asylum Premium, that's definitely a cigar that I would go to, because it's very rich. It's full flavor, probably medium plus in body, but it really is a fantastic cigar. But the 13 just kind of overpowered it at some point, and we still have it in the portfolio, and I think it's a great cigar to try if you haven't had it.
Tom, we should probably just take that one and redo the band and relaunch it, man. It is a great blend. I agree.
Yeah.
I haven't smoked one in a long time. And we have a little 44x4 in it that's amazing.
See, look at that. And now I'm going to say you're going to have a record year with that next year. And this is all part of the benefit of being a PCA member, right? There you go. You're welcome.
Right.
So with the last few minutes we have here, I do want to get to know you guys a little bit better. I'm going to ask Christian, obviously, about your flying. Tom, I would like to know if you have any hobbies or pursuits that you like Christian does with his planes, but when you're whether it's what's your favorite activity to do while you're smoking a cigar, and we can go back to golfing. And I really wish we could see. I really wish you actually had the golf pants on from our charity golf event that we had last September.
Yeah.
We don't have time to really get into that because those are amazing, and I wish I had some. But for you, Tom, what is it then if you're when you're not working, or I'm going to get dispense with the obligatory spending time with family because we know that, but it's nothing but family time right now. So once everything opens up, what are you looking forward to going and doing? What are some of the things that you enjoy or some particular hobby or interest you have that people may not know about?
Well, I've always been a big outdoors guy, hence the outdoorsman when Christian gave me an opportunity at the old company. But, I love to hunt and fish and get outside. And so, I've got a chance to do some turkey hunting here while the
nice.
Coronavirus. So I've been out a little bit every weekend, go out for, a couple days and do that. And obviously I love football. My fiance, her kids are both play college football here at a university, Hillsdale College here. And so in the fall, our weekends are going all over tailgating and watching those games, which we love to do. And once football's over, my kids, my older boy will be a senior next year, so we'll see where his career goes. But the outdoor stuff, I just love to be outside, whether it's in Montana elk hunting or, duck hunting or just being outdoors and enjoying fishing, But don't ever go fishing with Christian, Scott, because he's going to set you up in some way. You're either going to, we got a great story, just real quick. I'll try and do it quickly, but we took Jeremy from Smokers Friendly, who I know you've met Jeremy a number of times. So
yeah.
We always would take him fishing at TAA, and we never catch anything, right? And he never catches anything. So one day, everybody's catching fish. Jeremy can't catch a fish. I mean, he still couldn't. He would reel one up, it would fall off, and he couldn't get it in, right? So we start going back in, and Christian tells the captain of the boat, he's like, send a bucket out. So he puts a bucket out way out there on a line, right? And then starts screaming, fish on. So we get Jeremy in the fighting chair like it's a sailfish. So Jeremy spends 45 minutes trying to reel this bucket in, right? And I'm sitting here going, oh, my God, look at it jump. And the other guys in the boat are going, what the hell is Lazuka looking at? I didn't see anything jump. And so we got Jeremy thinking, and he's talking, smack, right? He's like, I only catch the big ones, mother effers. Until he gets up and he's like, what is that, a shark? And we all start laughing because he spent 45 minutes reeling in a bucket. So
he was so pissed off. He didn't know how to react. He was pissed off. He was embarrassed.
See, there he is. Exactly. That's the beauty of this. There he is, right there.
Oh, what did he say? What did he say? I can't read it.
The two did it at the right time. My ears were burning.
Yeah.
So, Jeremy, I gotta feel like that your new nickname is now the bucket.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's
that
outstanding. Yeah,
listen, we even had shirts made that we never catch anything because of this guy, Fishing Club.
And it had his face on it.
Jeremy's face on it.
Yeah, teach me how to fish. Like I've tried. I had my best friend growing up. He was big into fishing, and his dad passed away about a year and a half ago or so. And so I shared a story with him about his dad being patient with me, and we were fishing, and I cast the line, and I feel like it's going to go out into this lake and everything. And I start reeling it in, and pretty soon it just starts going like this. And it was caught up in a tree about 25 feet above my head on a big pump behind me. That's the biggest thing I ever caught, right? And my son is like a 90-year-old man. Like the kid loves to lounge in his robe. He loves the weather. I mean, the kid is the 90-year-old man, and he loves fishing. So I've got to become a fisherman for my son so I can take him out and actually catch something. He was so pissed at me the last time we went because we didn't catch anything, and everybody else was catching stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. All right, Christian, let's talk about planes. Why on earth why do you fly? Help me understand this, because I mean, gravity and speed, being on the land seems like a good idea to me.
Now listen, when I was little, and in Honduras, because we grew up at the farms, so the road from Tegucigalpa, the capital, to Danlí was only it's only 40 miles away, but the road was a dirt road, it was 4 hours. So my father would fly more than he would drive, and then he had another farm in Talanga, and so it was like a triangle. So he could visit all farms and the capital and within 1 hour if you really needed to. So anyway, so since I was little, I always wanted to fly. My father had an accident in 1977, became paralyzed. So in college, I started flying, just as a rebellious thing because I really wanted to piss off my father. But that's why I went skydiving. I did as much as I could just to piss him off, because my father the whole time he was in a wheelchair, and he really didn't want me to learn how to fly. But then eventually, I really liked it, and I realized that you get enough benefits in the U.S. that you can pay for the airplane with tax benefits and all this kind of stuff. And it really works for the kind of business that we do.
Yeah.
Scott, we'll be on the road 35, 40 weeks a year sometimes.
Yeah.
And we got to visit as many customers as we can. Matter of fact, now where people won't be able to travel commercial, we got a tremendous advantage. We can go to factories, we can go to different places before the airlines really start ramping up their service. And as far as safety-wise as well, you're a lot safer.
Fair enough. I do want to point this out. Mickey's got a good comment here too. Is that you also use, just like you were saying, it can help you get up and go, but you also do a good job, right, helping people out, using it to help victims of hurricanes or other disasters as well. So I hate flying. I always have. That's why I put it that way. Is like feel like I'm meant to be on the ground.
Yeah, we did the NASA relief flights, and we did a few of those, and but, okay, it's something I enjoy to do. I enjoy doing, and I can do it for work. Matter of fact, one trip, and I invited Tom and his Tom. Can I tell the story? The trip down in Florida.
I guess. Go ahead.
No. Anyway, so Tom and his kids.
It's a family show, Christian.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're flying down, and the weather was getting bad, so I took the plane a little higher than the pressurization would allow, and all of a sudden the mask started popping down, and everybody in the airplane was freaking out. So Tom was like, "Listen, Tom, everything's okay. I just got to go back down. We just got to put the mask back in." But when these things will pop out, dude, it would take like 40 minutes to put him back in. It was such a pain to put the mask back in.
Yeah, and I'm flying shotgun next to Christian, right? I'm co-pilot. So I got to climb in that little plane, my big ass, like into the back. I put all the masks back up, tell my kids, and I was still married at that time. And, put them all back up and then climb back in. And then a few minutes later, they pop back down again. I have to climb back out. It was such a pain in the ass, man.
So I kind of feel like Christian might have been doing that to you on purpose.
No. Here, let me tell a quick story about Christian, what he did do on purpose. So I remember we're flying to Honduras one day, and there's a handful of us in the back of the plane, and we're all laughing and talking. So Christian, him and the co-pilot, decide to lower the pressure. They put their masks on. They lower the pressure in the plane, and about an hour later, Christian's like, "How was your nap?" I said, "I didn't take a nap." He goes, "Oh yeah, you did." I said, "No, I didn't." He said, "Yeah, you did. You guys, I lowered the pressure and knocked you guys all unconscious for an hour." I said, "That's not safe, man."
Yeah, I'm never flying with you. Nope, because I God knows what you would do.
Oh, dude, it's fun, man.
It reminds me, this is the kind of pilot I feel like you would be. There's an old Far Side cartoon from years ago where they get on the pilot, it's like, "Well, we've reached our flying altitude. Please take a seat," blah, blah, blah. And they're talking whatever else. And then he says, "Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to see some turbulence up here. So please strap in." And as pilots look at each other like, "Okay, 1, 2," and they just start going like this all over the place. And they're just dying laughing. And they get back on. "Oh, looks like we've cleared no, there's more turbulence coming." And I feel like that is you. That is you. Absolutely. You would do that.
That's only if you try and pee in the plane.
If you do that with me in the plane, Christian, believe me, there will be more bodily fluids than pee that are going to be going everywhere. So I was gonna wrap up here, but I've got a question from here that I really want to hear the story now. The monkey that bit Carlos at the Camacho factory. I got to hear that story.
Oh, dude, it's we've always had these monkeys, and sometimes these people would sell you the monkeys on the street. And you're always on the spot because what do? They're going to sell it to somebody. They're going to end up killing. So we would bring the monkeys in, And because we have this one property where we have a lot of animals and fruit and everything, so we could give it not the best life, but whatever. So we had this one guy. We had a couple, and this one monkey was called Chapirito, and he was, he was somewhat domesticated. You could carry him around, which was a pain in the ass because he had a bunch of fleas, right? So you'd be scratching for weeks afterward. So Carlos was this guy. He was a salesperson for Florida. The guy was a superstar, man. Really, really hard worker. And the guy had built a kinship with a monkey. But the monkeys are whatever our primal instincts are. It's multiplied in these animals because they have no filter. So Carlos comes down one day with two other guys, and I guess the monkey got jealous because he wanted alone time with Carlos or something like that. So anyway, the monkey gets upset. He climbs up on the tree, and Carlos comes and he pulls his chain. Monkey comes down furious. He grabs him. He hugs him with both arms, both legs, and the tail, and bites him right in the butt cheek. So and then Carlos is crawling like in war. He's like, oh my God, let me get out of the chain's reach. So finally he pulls out of the way. So Matt for Drapers was there. A couple other guys were there. So I finally get to the house because I wasn't sleeping at the house. And there's Carlos, and he was a 40-year-old man at the time. He's laying face down on the bed. He's crying. He got his underwear down. And I said, Carlos, I think you're going to die, man. He goes, why? I go, who's going to suck the poison out of your ass? Poison. So anyway, I couldn't
good Caddyshack reference.
So we had a local vet that would tend to the animals. So we sent them over to the vet. The vet took care of them. They stitched them up. He goes, hey, when I get my stitches? He goes, stitches? They gave him a piece of wood. They picked up a piece of wood from the floor, just made him bite the piece of wood. But he's got his tetanus shot. He got his rabies shot. He got everything done. He was fine. He got a horse-sized dose of everything. So he was fine.
And how was the monkey?
Yeah, man. Funky was awesome. Yeah, he died a few years ago. Just recently. I think lived to like 35 or something.
The monkey, not Carlos.
No. Carlos still around, man. He's selling for Davidoff. He's a great, real hard worker. Man, you would walk in, you would be doing an event, and you walk in just asking to use the bathroom. You're walking out with 2 or 3 boxes of cigars. He was that good. He would get everybody. Everybody would buy something from that guy.
That's funny. That's hilarious. Last question, and this is just for me personally, but how's your son? I know this was going to be a senior year of baseball and everything else. Is he still throwing? He's still out there playing ball with them?
Yeah, we're actually in the case today. He's exercising. He's working out. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough season for him this year, man. I mean, it's real sad on many levels. Number one, the draft got canceled. He was going to be from the 6th to the 12th round, and so the draft got canceled. They're only doing 5 rounds. And as far as baseball, now they're going to have 5 classes because everybody got redshirted this year. Yeah. So there's, for example, there's one kid that we know really well, very, very good friend of the families, but now the kid's going to be a first year junior. And, in the baseball and the sports world, 3 years worth of manly muscle is a huge difference. Yeah. So, and it's going to happen a lot to these kids. Plus, those really good players that were juniors and/or seniors that were going to go in the draft, they didn't get drafted, so they're still going to play baseball 1 more year. Yeah. Because what MLB basically did, they figured out a way to, instead of paying those people $150,000, $200,000 for signing bonuses, they're going to offer them $20,000. Yeah. Because there really are only five rounds this year. Yeah. But he's working out, man. He's throwing, he's hitting. He'll be all right.
Oh, well, good stuff. Well, maybe we'll get to see him on the hill in one of these future years. If he ever plays in that stadium, come on up. We'll go.
Yeah, of course, man. I'll let you know. Yeah, we'll go up there, man. Their FIU schedule is pretty busy. There are a lot of games up there in the Northeast.
Yeah. Let me know. I'd love to come and see him play. I'm well past my prime of being able to get behind the dish and catch if somebody throws that hard, but still be fun to try at least.
Hey, anytime, man. Anytime.
It'll be fun. And Tom, we gotta hit the links again, but I got to make sure I find a pair of pants that matches the outstanding and outlandish pants that you had.
Yeah, look forward to the day where we can do that together.
Absolutely. The courses up here are open, so just let me know if you want to take a trip out here. But the thing is that I realize the genius of those pants is it distracts from my game, so that way people are paying attention more to the pants than they are about God knows where I hit the ball.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know where it's going, so
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I got a cigar and I've got great pants, so the rest of it doesn't matter.
I look like a pro, but no one paid attention to anything else, so it was good.
It was good stuff. Hey, gentlemen, thank you both very much. This has been a lot of fun catching up with you guys. I appreciate this. Keep making. Yeah, Paul, we can't see Tom for whatever reason. I think Tom is actually getting a makeover right now from his fiance. I think she's got his hair in some curlers and some other things. He didn't want us to see that, so he went blank on us there a little while ago. But we can hear him, so that's, I guess, that's better for Tom, for us to be able to hear him at this point.
Well, they always said I got a face for radio, so it worked out well.
Yeah, so do I. So Christian's the pretty one here. So anyway, I want to thank you guys a lot. This is a lot of fun. Again, I do greatly enjoy all the products you guys have. So I really appreciate you guys coming on. Please stay safe. We'll look forward to seeing you guys very, very soon. And my best to you and your families at this time. And we'll see you on the flip side, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.